the Epic Cash white paper. This is the first page, and on here there's a date, and it says Freeman Family, July 4th, 2019. So just a little bit of history. This Epic Cash mainnet happened September 2nd, 2019, if I recall correctly. I'm pretty sure it was September 2nd. And way back, even before July 4th, 2019, before the debut of this white paper, here on the Bitcoin Talk forums is what we're looking at here. If I move this around, you can see it's Bitcoin forum, bitcointalk.org, just to show you that. And then Epic WG there, the original poster is talking about a combination of a stable coin with a privacy coin. So EUSD stable coin with Epic Cash privacy coin. So these wheels have been turning for a long time. We all know in the Epic Cash community that EUSD is not live yet. And so, more to come on that. We will see how that develops. But for now, the point of this live stream is to have a reading of the Epic Cash white paper. Just got to take a break here and there to clear my throat. Excuse me. Right, but yeah, it's about 5 minutes into the live stream. So I'll edit out when I post this up to YouTube. I'll try to edit out this first kind of 5 minutes there. But just a little bit of history there about some of the how long Epic Cash has been in development, at least since 2018. I think Max Freeman, the founder, said even before that. But the first evidence there, like I said, was on this Bitcoin Talk page there. And going back to 2018. So Epic Cash is Epic Private Internet Cache. That's exactly what EPIC stands for. Epic Private Internet Cache, Epic Cache. All right, so it's brought to you by the Freeman family, July 4th, 2019. Epic Cache, Epic Private Internet Cache. It says it's a peer-to-peer electronic cache system. Interesting. And if you recall from when I read the Bitcoin white paper, what does the Bitcoin white paper say first, right off the bat? A peer-to-peer electronic cache system. A peer-to-peer, let me highlight that, electronic cache system. Yeah, okay. But I imagine there are some differences here, namely being privacy, and we will get into that. It says here it encompasses the three functions of money, which are store of value, medium of exchange, and unit of account. There are 1.7 billion adults that have no access to the global financial system, while another 1.3 billion are underserved. Epic Cash unlocks human potential by connecting individuals to the global markets, fast, virtually free to use, and open to all. And this is version 7.1b. So quite a few versions have made it. So, a lot of attention goes into this and reworking. And I will say that some things that we'll look at in this white paper were pretty much estimates of how things would go. Like one thing that is definitely not an estimate is the supply, which is 21 million Epic Cash, and that is the most that will ever exist, and that has stayed very true. But I'll just point out some of those things that may have changed as we get through this white paper. So here on page 2, just kind of a blank page, contents. We're going to look at an abstract. We're going to talk about privacy, fungibility, scalability, and we're going to get into the monetary policy. Then following that, the emission schedule. Then we'll talk about mining. We'll have a conclusion and technical specifications. So I think this is a little more straightforward and kind of more simple as a transaction protocol that Epic Cash is, that it's not quite as long as the ECK white paper. The ECK coin will have different features and just some kind of different things to play with, and so that makes sense that it's going to be a little bit longer of a white paper. So looking to get through this in about an hour, maybe even faster, but we'll see how I get through all these. Abstract. Epic Cash is the final point in the journey towards true peer-to-peer internet cash, the cornerstone of a private financial system. The Epic currency aims to become the world's most effective, privacy-protecting form of digital money. In order to fulfill that goal, it satisfies the three principal functions of money: store of value, medium of exchange, and unit of account. And it tells us that a store of value can be saved, retrieved, and exchanged at a later time, and of predictable value when retrieved. It says that a medium of exchange is anything accepted as representing a standard of value and exchangeable for goods or services. And then it defines unit of account as the unit by which the value of a thing is accounted for and compared. And then it has this table here where it compares the functions of money and how different currencies meet those or provide those functions of money. So it says that for a store of value, US dollar is not a good store of value. It says that BTC and Epic are good stores of value. And if you look at analysis like from people in the community, and I'm sure others have done a lot of technical analysis, but on Twitter, what's his name? L. McMurphy is, I think that's what his Twitter handle is. But yeah, if you look up L. McMurphy, he has really good technical analysis and just price history. And it's clear that for a store of value, BTC and Epic actually do maintain their value and increase in value more than you have more spending power as time goes on with BTC and Epic than you do with fiat currency such as US dollars. The next one they look at is medium of exchange. It says that BTC is not a good medium of exchange, and USD can be a good medium of exchange, and Epic is a good medium of exchange. And then you look at unit of account, and it says that, again, it criticizes BTC for not being a good unit of account. So I think those things against BTC really go at fungibility. When the money that you have can't be spent, you lose, I would say you lose all three of those. I mean, if your money is stopped, you have no value. But we'll look at the rest of this white paper here and see what they have to say. So in 2009, Bitcoin emerged as the first blockchain-based digital currency, and with it, three defining characteristics against which other cryptocurrencies are evaluated. Trustlessness, which means nobody is required to trust any centralized entity or counterparty in order for the network to function. Immutability, transactions cannot be undone. It should be highly improbable or difficult to rewrite history. It should be impossible for anyone but the owner of a private key to move funds associated with that private key. And finally, all transactions are recorded in the blockchain. Decentralization. Blockchains are politically decentralized. No one controls them. And architecturally decentralized. No infrastructural point of failure. Bitcoin blazed new trails technologically while adhering to time-tested fundamentals in the structure of its monetary policy. Bitcoin's success is strongly related to its limited supply combined with trustlessness, immutable, and decentralized blockchain. Epic Cash emulates Bitcoin's monetary policy of decreasing inflation and limited supply to ensure Epic currency can serve as the effective store of value. Despite Bitcoin's success, certain shortcomings have been revealed since its inception 10 years ago. Other projects have tried to overcome these shortcomings, and we have investigated the best of these to use as our starting point. We decided upon utilizing the Grin codebase and the excellent work of several other projects to help us perfect on the hard-won accomplishments and discovered faults of Epic Cash's predecessors. Epic Cash possesses the key qualities to be an ideal currency. And these ideal qualities are fungibility, privacy, scalability, and speed. So they give an explanation on fungibility. They say the value of a given unit of epic must always be equal to another unit of epic, just as one yen or yuan is always equal to and replaceable with another yen or yuan. The achievement of fungibility, in large part, hinges on privacy. Privacy. The EpicCash blockchain safeguards the anonymity of epic holders and users by protecting the details of transactions from third parties, and is designed to be both untraceable and invisible to surveillance. Scalability. EpicCash maintains a space-efficient blockchain upon which new nodes can be easily established without resource-intensive equipment. The EpicCash blockchain is capable of at least twice the throughput of Bitcoin. Speed. The EpicCash transactions are smooth, continuous, and are executed much faster than in previous generations of blockchain technology. While Bitcoin requires 6 10-minute blocks to achieve complete transaction confirmation, Epic transactions occur within a single block confirmation as soon as a 1-minute block has been mined. All right, and so now we move into privacy. And I'm going to take a little break here and just remind everybody this is a reading of the EpicCash white paper. I did a little sound check myself, so I know I can be heard, but if anyone wants to just make any comments in the chat box or has any questions, feel free. I think EpicCash, it explains how EpicCash was created to solve many of the Bitcoin problems that Bitcoin hasn't solved, as well as problems that other projects try to solve but maybe didn't do so well. So a big part of that is proof of work, and we're going to get into that later on. But for now, we're going to talk about privacy and more than likely how that impacts fungibility. So on privacy, they say the modern day use of money can be understood as the collective transference of units of account between people and institutions. The landscape of money, I need to hold on a sec. All right, so privacy. The modern day use of money can be understood as the collective transference of units of account between people and institutions. The landscape of money at any given point in time can be mapped by answering the following questions. Who is holding it and how much are they holding? And who is transacting with whom and for how much? For traditional fiat currencies, and indeed Bitcoin as well, we can answer these questions. In so doing, much can be revealed about people's lives, such as consumption patterns, ownership, and transactional counterparties. Fairly accurate conclusions can be drawn about an individual's interests and intentions by tracing transfers of value. Without privacy, transaction data can be dangerous information in the hands of predatory third parties. The past decade's use of cryptocurrency shows a continuum of privacy in varying blockchain implementations. The privacy scale, should one be considered, ranges from an open and notorious on one end to anonymous on the other. As privacy erodes, one essential cornerstone of cryptocurrency, trustlessness, degrades. As evidenced by the success of Bitcoin blockchain analysis services, Bitcoin is situated more towards the notoriously transparent end of the privacy spectrum. Users must increasingly take steps to ensure they don't inadvertently transact in tainted Bitcoin. The EpicCash solution swings the needle towards anonymous and restores this essential property by ensuring that both the privacy of the individual and the privacy of transactions are engineered into the system at a fundamental level. We're going to talk about privacy of identity and privacy of transaction. Privacy of identity. Most cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin, are stored in wallets whose addresses refer to public keys derived from a wallet's private keys. These addresses can be thought of as locators of one's private vault in the digital world. The EpicCash blockchain eliminates addresses entirely and instead applies one grand multi-signature from which all public and private keys are generated on a single-use basis. Because Bitcoin wallet addresses are a vault's locator in the digital world, that wallet can be traced to an owner's internet protocol, their IP address, which anchors the owner to a computer at a unique location at a given point in time. Simply explained, when a Bitcoin transaction takes place, the transaction is broadcast from a communication hub called a node, and then propagated to other nodes called peers. That information then quickly spreads to each of those nodes' peers consecutively across the entire network. This process is aptly named the gossip protocol. Quite simply, each Bitcoin has a visible online position and a physical location where it, or rather the Bitcoin owner, can be found. As journalist Grace Caffeine noted, Bitcoin is no more secret than a Google search from a home internet connection. In addition to eliminating wallet addresses, the Epicash blockchain secures privacy of identity by ensuring IP addresses can't be traced. It does this through the integration of the Dandelion++ protocol. Improving upon its predecessor, the original Dandelion protocol, the Dandelion++ protocol is a result of 7 researchers' continued work to combat de-anonymization attacks on the blockchain. Through Dandelion++, transactions are passed over random intertwined paths or cables, and then suddenly diffused to a large network of nodes, like the pods of a dandelion flower when blown from their stem. This makes it nearly impossible to trace transactions back to their origin, and thus their originating IP address. And we're going to look at a figure 1 here, illustrating the Dandelion++ protocol. Dandelion++ forwards messages over one of 2 intertwined paths on a 4 regular graph, then broadcasts using diffusion. In the figure, the transaction propagates over the blue solid path. The process makes it extremely difficult to trace transactions back to their source, thereby preserving privacy. So there's lots of different paths, and the actual path is in blue, and it's an illustration showing the difficulty that would be involved in identifying and knowing where the path actually originated from. So, and then there's some references there. All right, privacy of transaction. So we talked about privacy of identity. Now we're going to look at privacy of transaction. The Epicash blockchain assures transaction privacy by obscuring amounts on the sender-receiver relationship of a transaction. This is achieved through the application of ideas familiar from confidential transactions and CoinJoin methods, in large part developed by Gregory Maxwell, who is a Bitcoin core developer and co-founder and CTO of Blockstream. CT, that's those confidential transactions, was originally created by Adam Back and later refined by Maxwell. It works by breaking transactions into smaller parts through homomorphic encryption, a method of performing calculations on encrypted information without decrypting it first in order to preserve privacy. Once divided up, observers cannot see the actual amounts of the transactions because of blinding factors, a system that throws random numbers into the mix of transaction fragments to conceal the values of those fragments. Ultimately, only transacting parties know the value of an exchange, while the transaction is verified by the network through confirmation that the sum of the output value equals the sum of the input values, and the sum of the output blinding factors equal the sum of the input blinding factors. To further complicate the task of prying eyes, all Epicash transactions are cloaked with confidential transactions and then mixed together to hide the connections between the transacting parties. This is done through Maxwell's second concept, CoinJoin. To illustrate CoinJoin simplistically, imagine that A, B, and C are sending Epic to X, Y, and Z respectively. Sent through the CoinJoin medium, all that is known is that A, B, and C are sending and X, Y, and Z are receiving, while the transaction amounts remain invisible. The CoinJoin system is fundamental to Epicash through one-way aggregate signatures, which combine all transactions inside a block into a single transaction. Many inputs, but only 2 outputs. The output to the receiver and the change due back to the sender. And I just want to hit on what they talked about here in this confidential transactions a method of performing calculations on encrypted information without decrypting it first to preserve privacy. Once divided, observers cannot see the actual amount of the transactions because of the blinding factors, but um, it's verified by the network. So this is what they're talking about here. Is they're talking about zero knowledge proofs. Um, you know, but they didn't use that language of zero knowledge. But if you go and you listen to the ECK white paper, they also describe a very similar process, and it's essentially what we're looking at here is a zero knowledge proof. So zero knowledge has been, around for a while, and it just so happens that Mimblewimble is the next step in technology that gives us zero knowledge proof in a very scalable and lightweight fashion, and is the next generation of this technology. So, privacy summary. All right, so now we've been talking about privacy, identity privacy, and transaction privacy. Now we're going to have a summary in this white paper. It says the Epic Cash blockchain protects the privacy of individuals and their transactions by eliminating wallet addresses. There are no location identifiers to digital vaults within the blockchain. Transactions are constructed directly person to person on a wallet to wallet basis. Very unique to Mimblewimble, and which is what Epic Cash uses. And then it talks about Dandelion++ protocol, which obscures the digital pathways of a transaction from the transaction sender's IP address. So a way of obfuscating or hiding your IP address. Another way of doing that is using a VPN, and I highly recommend people looking into decentralized and quality VPN services that do not keep logs. But that's a topic for another time. Confidential transactions divide transactions into multiple pieces and introduce blinding factors into the collection of those pieces so that the value of the pieces and other transaction parameters cannot be known. And CoinJoin, combining transactions into bundles to mask the relationships between transacting parties. All right, so just another reminder, this is a reading of the Epic Cash white paper. Check out t.me/epiccash. That's Epic Cash, all one word, EPICCASH. Or if you want to check out our website, the Epic Cash website is epiccash.com, all one word, epiccash.com. Yeah, good stuff. Now we're getting into fungibility. Now we understand privacy, but just keep in mind, if you didn't have privacy and people can know about and identify your coins, and even like coin privacy, like without that level of privacy, you can't have fungibility. And we're going to talk about that here, right after I take a little break. All right. Charlie Lee, the creator of Litecoin, stated that fungibility was the only property of sound money missing from Bitcoin and Litecoin, admitting that privacy and fungibility were the next battlegrounds for those coins. Andreas Antonopoulos, one of the world's foremost blockchain experts, claimed that tainted coins are destructive. If you break fungibility and privacy, you break the currency. Fungibility is a property of a set of goods or assets that ensures the individual units of that asset are set of equal value and are interchangeable. It is what differentiates the earliest forms of currency from their preceding systems of barter. Without confidence in the fungibility of money, that money rapidly loses its utility. As will be illustrated below, the fungibility of most cryptocurrencies is uncertain, whereas Epic Cash's privacy architecture ensures it is impervious to the same threats. Most cryptocurrencies, similar to Bitcoin, by the nature of the transparent blockchains on which they exist, can be verifiably traced through every wallet in which they were kept. Private third parties and governments alike monitor the Bitcoin blockchain with increasingly sophisticated means to quickly identify coins used in previous activities. This naturally leads to concerns that tainted coins might someday be banned from transactions, leaving their subsequent good faith holders at a loss. On March 19, 2018, The U.S. Office of Foreign Asset Control, the OFAC, announced it was considering including digital currency addresses to the list of specially designated nationals, SDNs, which are entities with whom U.S. persons or businesses are forbidden to transact. Even more troubling, the OFAC has not ruled out the inclusion of addresses currently holding tainted coins onto the SDN list, which would effectively place innocent owners of tainted cryptocurrency on a criminal blacklist due to the affiliation of the tainted coins owned. This has led New York University legal professor Andrew Hinks to quip, "Kiss fungibility goodbye," and that public should expect a premium on freshly minted coins or traced clean coins. With these developments in mind, it's not difficult to imagine an upheaval in the crypto market and the suffering or even extinction of many well-established cryptocurrencies. However, Epic is one of the few cryptocurrencies that avoids this problem entirely due to a strong privacy feature previously described in this paper. By removing the link between identity and ownership and the relationship between transacting parties, Epic can never be affiliated to a person or an activity. As such, the value of Epic remains independent of its users and provides high degrees of privacy and security that cannot be easily manipulated by malicious actors in criminal, financial, or political arenas. All right. And then there's that quote from Andreas Antonopoulos that we heard before: "Tainted coins are destructive. If you break fungibility and privacy, you break the cryptocurrency." Or excuse me, you break the currency. All right. And moving into scalability. And again, this is a big part in ECK, in the ECK white paper I read from recently, and we'll post up to YouTube. And so we're going to look at how Epic Cash's white paper express scalability in the native chain of Epic, and but just a note there that the scalability is flexible in Epic Cash, and it's already good from the mainnet back in 2019, but it's actually going to improve and get better. It's going to become more scalable. You're going to be able to do thousands of transactions per second rather than the current, which is 17. Which even 17 transactions per second is still like, I don't know, two or three times faster than Bitcoin. So, Epic Cash is a Mimblewimble blockchain implementation that yields advances in scalability as a result of space-efficient design that sheds redundant transaction data. The cut-through functionality responsible for this assures that the blockchain grows more space-efficient over time, unlike most cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, and that new nodes can be created with minimal investments in memory and computing power. By remaining space efficient, it capacitates a widely dispersed network and fosters decentralization. Furthermore, while each Bitcoin node must store the entire chain, Epic Cash nodes are able to contribute to network security based on a small subset of blocks. Most cryptocurrencies require indefinite storage of all transaction data on their blockchains. The Bitcoin chain currently gains 0.1353 gigabytes of memory each day, while Ethereum's chain increases at an even faster rate of 0.2719 gigabytes a day. If Bitcoin's chain continues to grow at its current rate, it will eventually reach an approximate 6 terabytes in size by the time its last reward block is mined in the year 2140. Ethereum will surpass 10 terabytes by that date. In most blockchains without Mimblewimble, transactions must be verified by nodes all around the world. As data increases, so does the burden on each node. Even at only 200 gigabytes, the approximate size of the current Bitcoin chain, synchronizing the data requires a stable network and high-speed disk read and write capability. Consequently, mining has become increasingly centralized among large pools, leveraging costly computing resources. If the entire blockchain history of Bitcoin were to be stored on the Epic Cash blockchain instead, it would fit into nearly 90% less space. Smaller is faster because each transaction requires less time to transmit and secure. Mimblewimble solves this storage dilemma with an innovative method of block pruning referred to as cut-through. In order to understand how cut-through works, it's best to first look at how transactions and blocks are composed within the Mimblewimble blockchain. So we have inputs, references to old outputs. We have outputs, confidential transaction outputs and range proofs, and excess, the difference between the outputs and inputs, plus signatures for authentication and to prove non-inflation. And then we have a figure with the Mimblewimble transaction parts, the inputs, the outputs, and the excess. And all Epic Cash blockchains contain Merkle trees of transaction inputs, Merkle trees of transaction outputs and range proofs, and a list of excess values and signatures. In figures 2 and 3, there's 3 down there, all right. In figures 2 and 3, adapted from Andrew Palstra's presentations, we can see newly mined Epic represented as white input cells. Identically colored cells represent outputs with corresponding spent inputs. With the cut-through process, inputs and matching spent outputs are removed to free up space within the blockchain, which reduces the amount of data that needs to be stored on the blockchain. While the transactions are omitted from the ledger, the remaining excess kernels, a mere 100 bytes, permanently document that the transaction took place. As blocks continue to be created, Mimblewimble applies cut-through across blocks, so that over the long run, all that remains are the block headers, approximately 250 bytes, unspent transactions, and transaction kernels, which are about 100 bytes. Grin, the second Mimblewimble implementation to be launched, showed that a Mimblewimble chain with a similar number of transactions to the Bitcoin chain could be nearly 10% of the size of Bitcoin's chain. Furthermore, the size of a node will be on the order of a few gigabytes for a Bitcoin-sized chain, and potentially optimizable to a few hundred megabytes. This stands in marked contrast to Bitcoin, where the entire blockchain must be stored by each node. Over time, as the space efficiency of Epic Cash blockchain grows relative to the Bitcoin blockchain, so too will the cost efficiencies relative to the participation of nodes in the Epic Cash network. Lower barriers to participate helps ensure crucial resilience at the node layer of network design. Through its implementation of Mimblewimble and application of chain pruning with the cut-through process, the Epic Cash blockchain offers scalability in a way often overlooked by cryptocurrency community. It is one that captures the essence of Bitcoin and like-minded projects, decentralization. Regardless of how many transactions per second a coin might be able to process, what good is it if it can't be sustained by a broad and diverse network? If memory requirements are such that validation ultimately gravitates towards strong mining conglomerates, then all of the cryptocurrency community's efforts to create a decentralized ecosystem are obviated. To provide for additional throughput, a Lightning-style Layer 2 implementation is planned as a short-term objective in the Epcash development roadmap. All right, so so the approach to additional throughput has actually changed. They're not doing a Lightning-style Layer 2 implementation. They're actually just going to make the blocks bigger and decrease the block time from 1 minute down to like 50 or 40 seconds, and then they'll just keep doing that, doubling the block size and reducing, and eventually you get to a point with a 10-second block time and something like 6,000 or 12,000 transactions per second, which is a huge scalability boost compared to where we are now. And so when you combine the factors of a lightweight blockchain and that anyone can run a node on hardware that's found in most smartphones, you realize that decentralization takes place. You know, there's a lot of nodes all over a lot of Epic Cache nodes. There's in over 100 countries and thousands of cities, and that's largely because of how easy it is and how few resources. It doesn't take a really strong computer to run a node. All right. So moving on into monetary policy. The monetary policy of Epic Cash and Bitcoin are very similar. Epic Cash circulating supply first expands rapidly and then synchronizes with the circulating supply of Bitcoin in 2028. It increases thereafter at a declining rate until reaching a maximum supply of 21 million Epic in 2140. Epic Cash has the qualities to become a safe store of long-term value because the circulating supply is known at any point along its emission lifecycle and culminates in a fixed maximum supply. The Epic Cash monetary policy is characterized by the following four features. Rapid emission over the first 9 years of its lifespan, during which 20,343,750 Epic, which is 96.875% of the total supply, are to be mined. The exact emission rates are outlined in the emission schedule section of this paper. The Epic circulating supply and emission rate synchronize with those of Bitcoin on the Epic singularity around May 24th, 2028. Following the singularity, the emission rate decreases at an increasing rate, while the circulating supply grows at a decreasing rate. A maximum supply of 21 million Epic will be reached in the year 2140 at approximately the same time as when Bitcoin reaches a maximum supply of 21 million units. Epic has an 8-decimal divisibility structure such that 1 Epic is equal to 100 million Freeman, just as 1 Bitcoin is equal to 100 million Satoshis. The Epic Cash monetary policy is modeled after Bitcoin's for the following reasons. Agreement with the economic fundamentals of Bitcoin, namely that scarcity and predictability of circulating supply underlie its strong store of value properties. The public is already familiar with Bitcoin's model and its proven track record over the last 10 years since its inception. By approximately synchronizing with Bitcoin's circulating supply and mirroring Bitcoin's maximum supply and divisibility structure, Epic takes the path of least resistance towards mass adoption. All right, and then emission schedule. Epic Cash has a total of 33 mining eras, each defined by decreases in block rewards relative to their preceding era. The Epic Genesis, the date on which Epic block number 1 is mined, takes place on August 1st, 2019. So that was actually September 2nd. There was a bit of a delay. I think the story was something like they wanted to make sure that it was possible to mine on Mac, which it is, but there's just not a whole lot of Mac miners, so there's not a whole lot of community support, but it is definitely possible to mine on Mac and regular PCs. So yeah, blocks are mined at 1 per minute. The first 5 eras produce nearly 97% of the Epic maximum supply, matching 20 years of Bitcoin emissions in approximately 9 years. This can be thought of as a chance to turn back the clock for those who missed out on the spectacular rise of Bitcoin. The emission schedule in Table 1 outlines the starting and end dates of the first 7 mining eras, their corresponding block rewards, and the ensuing circulating supplies for each era. The eras 8 to 33 are not included in the table for brevity's sake. For those eras, it should suffice to understand that each subsequent era will have a block reward that is half the amount of the reward of the preceding era, exactly as Bitcoin does with their halvings. So the amount of Epic emitted during each of these eras will be the sum of block rewards within the 4-year era, approximately 1,460 days. At the Epic singularity in 2028, the Epic circulating supply intersects the number of Bitcoin's circulating supply, at which point Epic Cash adopts the Bitcoin block reward and halving pattern, which sees block rewards decrease by half every 4 years. The only exception is that Epic blocks continue to be mined at a rate of 1 each minute, versus Bitcoin's rate of 1 every 10 minutes. By doing this, The Epic circulating supply maintains approximate parity with Bitcoin's circulating supply for the remainder of their existence. And here we have table 1 that gives us an outline of the eras, the block rewards, the start and end dates of these eras, and the length of each era, the starting supply, and the ending supply, and the percent of maximum supply that would be emitted by the termination of each of these eras. Here's a diagram illustrating the Epic and Bitcoin emission schedules. There's an Epic launch, there's the Bitcoin launch, and then they converge on what is known in the Epic Cash community as the singularity. Shout out to Ray Kurzweil. Not sure if that any of this was inspired by the technological singularity, which a well-known predictor of technology developments, who goes by the name of Ray Kurzweil, actually predicted 2028. I think would be. Don't quote me on that year, but I think that's what he was predicting as the technological singularity, which means basically that technology can solve any problem. So let's see. All right, section 7 is mining. That's how I found Epic Cash. I'm a big supporter of non-ASIC mining, so mining with components that most people have in their homes and not specialized and loud and noisy equipment that you just throw away, and has very little resale value typically. So yeah, mining. The Epic Cash blockchain pursues decentralization by welcoming a wide variety of computation hardware. Epic mining is initially available to CPUs, GPUs, and ASICs, using 3 respective hashing algorithms. RandomX, which, by the way, Epic Cash was first, before Monero, a couple months. All right, and then programmatic proof of work, which is for the graphics cards, and then KUKA 231, which can be mined by ASICs and also on GPUs, but it's ASIC friendly and power efficient. And it says algorithms can be trivially hot swapped without compromising the integrity of the chain. They're saying right there that we don't have to do RandomX. We don't have to do ProgPow or KUKA2. They can be hot swapped with other mining algorithms. And so we're going to see that happen with ECK as being the test environment. And that's going to be exciting to see Crystal's dilithium, which is going to be a very important algorithm to safeguard against quantum computing attacks. So very tangible, relevant, practical implementation that we expect to see flow back into Epic Cash. But to continue with the Epic Cash white paper here, on this mining section, which I'm so proud of, but I have to say here, no other cryptocurrency in the world does what Epic Cash does with its proof of work model. It's unique because you can choose to only mine one of those algorithms if you would like, and save 52% energy costs for that hardware. So that's called the Fehoda, also known as polyphasic, and again, no other cryptocurrency that I know of. If you know of another cryptocurrency that has polyphasic, and I know there's other cryptocurrencies that allow you to mine with different algorithms at the same time. That's not how Epic Cash works. Okay, that's a very important distinction, and because it's actually a feature, because of the flexibility it gives the miner, you can mine other algorithms in the downtime that Epic Cash has for its hardware, or you can just choose to have energy savings. So it's very unique. I think it's worth noting. And again, if you have comments on any of this, please, this is going to be on YouTube, so it may prompt me to do a rereading or make notes and key in on certain things that people point out. If at least not at first, I'll definitely respond to comments and have some of that going on YouTube. So RandomX and CPUs. RandomX is a proof of work algorithm optimized for general purpose CPUs. It uses randomized program executions with several memory hard techniques to achieve the following goals. Prevention of the development of single chip ASICs. So it's ASIC resistant, minimize the efficiency advantage of specialized hardware over general purpose CPUs. Again, ASIC resistance. Mining EPYC with CPUs requires a continuous allocation of 2 gigabytes of physical RAM, 16 kilobytes of L1 cache, 256 kilobytes of L2 cache, and 2 megabytes of L3 cache per mining thread. Windows 10 devices require 8 gigabytes or more of RAM. It is not inconceivable that one day in the not too distant future, mobile phones could become viable mining nodes. Early CPU integration in the EPYC mining network is an excellent opportunity for many with only modest computing means to earn block rewards by helping to secure the EPYC network. Indeed, CPUs is a great way to start mining EPYC. CPUs are a great way to start mining EPYC. All right. Programmatic proof of work, PROG-POW, is an algorithm that depends on memory bandwidth and core computation of randomized math sequences, which takes advantage of many of a GPU's computing features and thereby efficiently captures the total energy cost of the hardware. As PROG-POW is specifically designed to take full advantage of commodity GPUs, it is both difficult and expensive to achieve significantly higher efficiencies through specialized hardware. Again, ASIC resistance, specialized towards making the most efficient use of the graphics card. As such, the PROG-POW algorithm mitigates incentives for large ASIC pools to outperform GPUs, as is often seen with many other proof-of-work algorithms, such as Bitcoin's SHA-256. GPUs, although not as prevalent as CPUs, are still commonly available. With technological development driven by powerhouses NVIDIA and AMD, GPUs are able to parallel process many multiples of mining solutions above CPUs on a per unit basis. It is due to this combination of ubiquity and high processing power that GPUs will provide the backbone to much of the mining activity during the initial eras, as indicated in Table 2. So they use a table, yeah, we're going to see this table, and they do a projected view of how ASICs would eventually move in and take more market share. But that hasn't happened yet, so, and I'm fine with that. But all right, so we're going to talk a little bit about Cuckoo 231 and ASICs. Cuckoo 231 Plus is an ASIC-friendly permutation of the Cuckoo cycle algorithm developed by Dutch computer scientist John Tromp. A relative of the ASIC-resistant Cuckoo 29, Cuckoo 231 Plus generates random bipartite graphs and presents miners with the task of finding a loop of given length n passing through the vertices of that graph. Fancy way of saying it does highly complicated math through creative processes that ends up making it actually not a heater block, and produces less heat. So this is a memory bound task, meaning the solution time is bound by memory bandwidth rather than raw processor or GPU speed. As a result, the Cuckoo cycle algorithms produce less heat and consume significantly less energy than traditional proof-of-work algorithms. The ASIC-friendly Cuckoo 231 Plus allows efficiency improvements over GPUs by using hundreds of millibytes of SRAM, static random access memory, I believe, while remaining bottlenecked by memory input-output. Ultimately, ASICs offer the greatest potential economies of scale of the three mining options. In the interest of inclusivity, however, they are allocated a small portion of mining rewards relative to CPUs and GPUs early on. Eventually, ASICs assume a majority stake of the mined block rewards on the assumption there will be a competitive ecosystem of device manufacturers for Cuckoo 231 Plus. And then we have Table 2, mining reward allotments subject to revision. That's a very important part of this. It is subject to revision, and indeed it has been revised in practice. In reality, it's not what this chart illustrates. Allotments will be directed to achieve maximum decentralization consistent with long-term interests of the network. Yes. So a really big thing that that drove the allocations differently happened to be the demise of Ethereum, which at the time when Epic Cash was launched, I'm sure there's some people who predicted Ethereum would stop doing proof of work, but as far as I know, most people didn't know this was coming. But back in 2019 when Epic Cash was launched, but it happened, and that drove a change. So we started 60%, 60% to CPUs, 38% to GPUs, and 2% to ASICs. And we went to, let's see, we went to 30. Actually, yeah, so I think we may have actually kept that percentage going into era 2. And then I think, so right now, I think we're in era 4. I think it was actually era 3 where we went to 48% to CPUs, 48% to GPUs, and 4% to ASICs. And so that, where GPUs were 38%, that bumped up to 48%, and that was intended to be beneficial to that big amount of GPU miners that were left after Ethereum had ceased their proof of work mining. So, and I think in large part that worked. We did see several orders of magnitude boost to Epic Cash's graphics card network hash rate. So that's all good. All right, and this is just another illustration of the numbers here using a bar graph. All right, mining contributions. It's a very interesting part. A lot of it's ongoing debate in cryptocurrencies. The question is how do you raise money, or how do you okay, we don't have an ICO, we don't have venture capitalists, so various coins will either have a pre-mine, which Epic Cash does not have a pre-mine, and so what Epic Cash has done here is they have started at 8.88%, and then they decreased that by 1.11% as mining contributions from the mining rewards. So starting at Epic Genesis, hold on a sec. Starting at the Epic Genesis 2019 and concluding at the Epic Singularity in 2028, during the mining process, there's an allocation of Epic that is redirected and mining as mining contributions towards the Epic Blockchain Foundation. All right. The Epic Blockchain Foundation is dedicated to technical development and promoting awareness and utility of the Epic Cash project during the early years of its inception, by creating market activities and developing partnerships with the financial technology industry. After the Singularity, the Epic Foundation's role will be assumed by the Epic Distributed Autonomous Corporation, the EDAC, that will be developed by the Foundation prior to the handover. The Epic Blockchain Foundation is funded by a percentage of mining rewards, deducted from block rewards according to the following annual rates. So just like I was describing, 8.88%. We are in 2023, so it's down to 4.44%. Right now, I think each Epic block has 2. Let's see, where that's at? Okay, then we're going to be in the conclusion here pretty soon. So this is just about complete with the reading here, and coming up on an hour, so not too bad. Okay, so yeah. It says June 3rd was the start of this last era. It was actually June 25th, if I recall correctly. So these dates are just a little bit off. There's been one delay or another, and we know that we didn't start in August. We actually started in September. So yeah, we're doing pretty good considering the delay that we had there and getting started. And so block reward 2. So you figure 4% of 2 is I don't know, 0.08 or something. So some very small part of goes into this foundation, and they did say, or I would say, yeah, this EDAC. I don't know if they're still going to call it that. Autonomous corporations might get regulatory attention. So we'll see how that unfolds. But so far, this project is on track. The mining rewards have continued to diminish as they promised there, and we have really good features in the software and to make it usable. We have mobile wallets, and we have a private, scalable blockchain, which I don't know any other cryptocurrency that can really say that. Yeah, private and scalable and scarce and the best proof of work model. When you start adding all these things up, it's like, okay, show me a better cryptocurrency, and they're like, okay, this Xano, and it's like, okay, yeah, but 20% goes to the dev team, and um, it's it's not as scalable, and the proof of work model isn't as decentralized. So yeah, let's see. So in the conclusion here, to just give a summary. All right. And Epic aims to be recognized as decentralized digital silver, a medium of exchange counterpart to Bitcoin's recognized position as decentralized digital gold. I would argue that Epic Cash is more gold than Bitcoin is, and I think some other people would agree with me. But sticking with the white paper, they say by reintroducing lost fungibility on a much more energy efficient and ecologically friendly hardware backbone, Epicash tilts the balance of power back in favor of individual users in stark contrast with recent centralizing trends. All the more reason to call Epicash the actual digital gold. Okay, the combination of Bitcoin economics, game theory, and proven proof of work formula with the best of contemporary blockchain technology results in a trustless, immutable, and decentralized currency, Epic, that is scalable, fungible, and that protects the privacy of its users. The Epic Cash blockchain is open, public, borderless, and censorship resistant. It preserves the privacy and wealth of its users and rewards those who deploy their hardware in support of the network via mining. Every Epic is mined into existence via proof of work. Supply begins at 0, and the network is considered fair launched without a functional testnet. With a functional testnet currently running. Sorry, there's some background noise, and it's just I don't know how loud that is, but gosh, that's annoying. Well, but we got through most of it without too much interruption. Thanks, everybody. Here's some Epic Cash key facts. I'm just gonna finish up this white paper. I'm sure I'll have to redo it now, but here we go. Mining begins August 1st, 2019. We know that started September 2nd, 2019. Like I said, it was delayed. The Epic Cash blockchain is based on Mimblewimble. Defining features of the protocol are cut through, the removal of redundant information for blockchain to promote space efficiency, encourage wide-scale participation in the network validation, and steward decentralization. Makes it small, makes it easy to have a node. CoinJoin, the bundling of transactions within a block to ensure the fungibility of the Epic Cash cryptocurrency. CoinJoin, all those coins get mashed up together. You can have, dozens of people, even more than that. You can have hundreds of people transacting in a block, every minute, because we have 17 transactions per second. Wow, that is loud. Okay, sorry, the background noise. And yeah, and CoinJoin is great. It just hold on. All right, yep, just gonna finish up here. No wallet addresses. The use of grand multi-signatures to generate single-use private keys for transacting parties. Eliminating the need for wallet addresses entirely. Oh, I skipped over Dandelion++. But we talked about it earlier. It hides the IP address. My opinion, if you want even further on that, you should really use a VPN if you're concerned about hiding your IP address. But it is nice to know that, even by default, you'll have that Dandelion++ protocol protection as we grow and there's more transacting parties on the network. All right, there's no wallet addresses. I already talked about that. The grand multi-signature to generate single-use private keys and for transacting parties. And the Epic Cash monetary policy is designed to synchronize the Epic circulating supply with Bitcoin's circulating supply in roughly 9 years and reach the same maximum supply of 21 million units at the same time as Bitcoin in the year 2140. This decreases inflation. This decreasingly inflationary policy guarantees transparency, predictability of supply, and scarcity, fostering the security of long-term value storage. Mining, which incorporates CPUs, GPUs, and ASICs via corresponding random X, ProgPow, Cuckoo 231 plus algorithms to facilitate mass adoption and network efficacy. Finally, they give the technical specifications. It's named is Epic Cash. The currency name or ticker symbol is Epic. Block time is 60 seconds. Block size is currently 1 megabytes. We talked about those block time and block sizes. Basically, we would decrement maybe by 10 seconds per block and double the blockchain size and just keep experimenting on ECK, testnet, chaosnet, canary network to verify the consistency, the safety of having these faster block times and this greater scalability. But for now, it's 60-second block time, 1 megabyte block size. Starting supply was 0. Final supply is 21 million. Genesis block, we talked about that, was actually September 2nd, 2019. And consensus algorithms for proof of work mining are RandomX, programmatic proof of work, and Cuckoo 231 plus. There's some links to epic.tech, which we also know as epiccash.com, are the same hyperlinks there. Yeah, cool. Okay. Oop, shoot. I jumped off the page there. Yep. And then, cool. So t.me/epiccash is our Telegram link there. There's a glossary of some terms that were used in the white paper, which is nice. Tells you what Mimblewimble is, what multi-signature is. So some good ones to know. Static random access memory, throughput, trustlessness, good stuff. Good glossary terms in the white paper. Looks like the noise outside took a little bit of a break. Sorry about that. I don't know how that sounds on, it's going to sound when I upload it on YouTube, but all good. We got through it together. And now if you've listened to this, you are caught up and you have listened to the Epic Cash white paper in just about an hour. I'll put a little note in there. If you play it at 2 times speed, if I talk too slow, you can listen to it faster and listen to it in about a half an hour. But I tend to go like 1.5, 1.75 speed, just depending on people's pace of speaking. So, but thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out Epic Cash. I think cryptocurrencies are the next step in financial technology and solving the problem of the prisoner's dilemma, which is the central bank or the powerful prisoner cheating the other prisoners and to their own benefit. And I think cryptocurrencies are a way to change that around. And if we keep buying into crypto narratives that are not really in tune with crypto fundamentals of things like privacy and scalability and decentralization, and getting away from the corporatocracy and venture capital. There's a place for venture capital, don't get me wrong, but there should be a place for big business too. But it's just been too much weighted in favor of the corporatocracy, the corporations, the big money, and it doesn't really give people a fair chance to do something, to have trust in the money that's there. And I think that's what cryptocurrencies have the power to do, is to change that problem that exists in money today. All right, so if you agree, smash the like, subscribe, and just play these white papers back while you're driving around, or well, yeah, safely driving around, right? Because you can just listen to it like a book on tape. And I hope you enjoyed that, and I will post more of these readings from white papers and technical documentations. Router protocol is one I want to check out. It's a potential partner that we might be able to work with, and getting Epicash connected onto multiple networks out there and connecting all the cryptocurrencies together. It's called Router protocol. It's sounding pretty interesting. I'll check that out and share what I read with you in this forum. And that's gonna do it. Leave those comments. Tell me what you thought. Tell me where you differ. Tell me where you think I could improve. And yeah, let me know your comments, and we will keep doing these and keep getting information out there for people to check out.